Hey guys, I've got a game going with a player rated 702 and I've started with e4 and they've replied with e6. So this could be the French defense. I'm going to go with something a little bit unusual. But generally what we're going to be looking for is what's the difference between a 700 rated player and a 1500 rated? Okay. It's actually called the Ortho-Schnapp Gambit. And if the pawn takes, I'm going to put my bishop on here. Okay. So that's not bad. I could push that now. So what we're looking at is basic calculation. Okay. So what we've got is we've got two attackers on there and we've got two defenders. So I could take the pawn, then probably bishop will take and I'll have to move my queen. Alternatively, I could put my knight here and that could be a third attacker on that pawn and a defender on that one. So the benefit of that is that I'm doing what I need to do and I'm developing a piece. However, if I put my knight there and pawn takes, my queen's under attack. So I'd need to move my queen anyway. The other thing that I notice is there's a hanging pawn. Good to take your time. If at the very least, if you go around the board and identify what's under attack and what's undefended, that is a start. Okay, so if queen takes b7, obviously I'm attacking the rook, and that will pretty much force, I think, the knight to come out. There's no way to get the bishop onto that square, which is another kind of three-way defense. So the knight will have to come out, but the knight can't come to here. The knight will have to come to here instead. So I think that's kind of interesting. And if the knight goes there, it's blocking the queen's defense of this pawn. So if the knight goes there, I can then capture the pawn and the bishop can't recapture because queen takes. Look at that. I mean, I didn't see that stuff straight away. I had to figure it out. But it was there to figure out. Okay, that's kind of to be expected. Now I can put my queen on c6, which actually pins this knight. So that knight now cannot legally move because the queen will be looking at the king. Again, if bishop takes, I can recapture and win the bishop. If the bishop doesn't move, I capture the bishop with my pawn. Is that an idea? No, the knight cannot move. Okay, that's interesting. That's a decent move. So the knight is now attacking my queen. So this is a more serious counter-attack than the attack I've got. So I'm attacking their bishop, but black's in turn attacking my queen. So I'm going to drop my queen back, I think, to here. Then we've also got the other good thing about that move, second attacker on the pawn. I'm currently 2 pawns up, so maybe I don't need to worry too much. How about I drop my queen back down here, then I'm looking at this undefended pawn. Bringing your queen out early always comes with some downsides. You can find yourself kicked around. Okay, that's actually an error because it means I can simply capture the bishop. Now the knight's under attack and the knight cannot move. So I'm expecting pawn takes, and that's really going to weaken the king side here for black. If pawn takes, black is going to have 3 isolated pawns and then a 2 over here. And that's going to be very tricky to defend. Okay, so now I can take either the pawn or the knight with check. If I take the pawn, it means the king's going to have to move and recapture. So materially, it will be the same. If I capture the knight, we'll probably get queen recaptures. But the king could still castle. However, I'm actually a piece and 2 pawns up right now, plus I think stopping my opponent from castling would seem like a good idea right now. So I'm kind of drawn to that move. Even though it doesn't win any material, I don't know. What's the right thing? I mean, sometimes the blunt, straightforward, simple approach is the best one. Maybe I should just grab the knight. Win material. If your opponent offers you material, don't overthink it. Just take. Alright, so now the situation is I've got no development, right? Having said that, my opponent is in a very weak situation. Now, my opponent's going to have to castle. Has to castle to have any chance in this game. So, now what I'd love to do would be to get my bishop there. So I'm thinking maybe fianchetto this bishop and see what happens. Because it's going to take my opponent, they've got to move either the knight or that pawn in order to develop this bishop somewhere. Okay, so that's one move of one of these. Then another move to develop the bishop, and then on the third move they can castle. But in that time, so they do, say, pawn, I play bishop, they bring their bishop out, too late. Having said that, the knight's also guarding that, so that's not really a move, is it? It's only a 10-minute game, so I do have to think a little bit quicker. Also got bishop to h3, it's defended by the knight, and it's attacking the queen. That's not bad. If the knight moves, however, then this idea is definitely on. So what is black? Okay, the knight has moved. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I can't see a big threat from the knight. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the board, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I worried? Knight can't go there, there, there. It's all covered by pawns. If it comes here... Ooh, damn! That was a mouse slip. Not good. I meant to put my bishop there. I didn't know I'd clicked it. Anyway. So, knight comes here. It's not too bad. I mean, it's threatening c2, but right now my queen's covering that. And that was an error. Of course, I meant to put my bishop on g2, where it could take out the knight. Okay, that's not bad. We've got a fork on the queen and the bishop, which is a reasonable move. Got to be careful about this diagonal that's controlled by the dark square bishop there. So I'm thinking now simply queen b3 looks solid. If black wants to take my bishop, that would be a serious mistake, because black is way behind in material. When you're way behind in material, you do not want to be swapping off pieces. Now if the bishop comes out, it can't come here because I simply grab that pawn with my bishop. Okay, so the bishop's developed. That makes sense. I can't check on here because of the bishop, which I'd like to do. The knight's defended. The bishop is not defended right now. So what's undefended on the board? The rook. Queen's defending that and that. Rook's defending that. Okay, so we've got 3 undefended pieces. Is there any way that I could attack more than one of those pieces? Not really. Don't see a way. Okay, so in that case, what we do is we develop, because I'm definitely very sluggish in that regard. Okay, let's just play on. I'm down to 4 minutes 30 on the clock. Okay, castle, that's that's the right way to go. So now I need to think where I'm going to put my king. Are there any tactics here? Like knight to here, attack the bishop, which is undefended. King's now a lot more secure. I just want to castle my king as soon as possible. Black only has a dark square bishop. So I'm thinking d3, defended by the bishop, get my own bishop out, and then castle queenside, where my pawns are a little bit more solid. I mean, this is okay as a defense against the dark square bishop. Okay, that's not bad. Yep, I know. Alright, so if I put my bishop there, I could have bishop takes, rook takes, I'm still in check. I can play knight to here as well. That's probably better. Knight to there, then if rook takes, simply knight takes rook. I can still put my bishop here, maybe, but also even push that. No, I can't, because if bishop takes, its defender is pinned. Can't do that. I think a good move right now might be like queen g4, piling on the pressure. Then I can defend with my queen. Been treated to a singing display by Jag the Cockerel. My opponent's down to 6 minutes on the clock. That mouse slip has really cost me, moving the bishop there instead of there. Now that's an interesting move. And I can't say I see the point of it, because I could now play knight to e4, attacking both queen and bishop. I'm just going to do it. I can also actually bring my bishop out here and attack the queen. That might also be good, because it develops my final piece and gets ready to castle. Queen can't go here, can't go there currently because of the knight, but obviously the knight's pinned, so the queen could actually go here. Okay, let's do this. If the queen does come here, then I can drop my bishop back and attack the queen again. But what I'd like to do now is just castle my king. Knights are defending each other here. So I think this is an unrated game. I'm not 100% sure, so I'd like to make sure I win it anyway, if I'm able. But I've still got all my pieces on the board. I've got both knights, both bishops. My opponent's only got one. No, we are not pre-moving that. The perils of trying to describe what you're doing. Okay, so what's under threat? Knight's attacking that, no problem. Queen recaptures. Right, let's just castle. 2.5 minutes. I'm not going to mess around. So I am actually under some time pressure to try and win this. I might need to look to simplify rapidly. So maybe rook across. And my knight really hasn't got anywhere to go. That's a move. Bishop takes, knight takes, or even rook takes. Seems okay. Okay, that's fine. Because if bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes, rook takes, and I've won a big exchange. I've won a queen for a rook. Yeah, I'll lose my rook. But I'm up so much material, and clearing off material off the board right now is all good. All good for me. Could also have hit that rook with my bishop here, make it move away, or force that. No, that's not move. That can't move. It's pinned. Doubly pinned. Now I need to use the clock as a weapon against my opponent, right? I'm down to 2.5 minutes because I've been talking to you. He's down under 4 minutes. So I need to make my moves pretty quickly and make him use his time to think instead of using my time to think. So obviously, my intention now is to capture the bishop. Okay, just recapture. Keep the pressure on. Capture the bishop, it comes with an attack on the queen. Okay, and now I'm happy. I can capture with the rook. Queen can't take as knight takes. Now I'm up more material. Am I? I'm still 9 points in front. Okay, so queen's come down there. It's not really attacking the bishop. Bishop's protected. I'll just centralise my rook and defend. I'm just looking if there's any idea of moving this bishop with check, but there isn't really. I could have moved it there, I guess, and attacked the queen. That could have worked. Still got that as an idea. Or even here. Okay, let's move it here. So that's a double attack. Discovered attack on the queen and an attack on the f8 rook. Pretty much everything on my side of the board is defended, I think, apart from those 2 pawns. Okay, so I'm going to grab the rook. Oh no, it's come with check. Decent move. Alright, f4. Hit the queen again. I'm on 2 minutes. He's on 2 minutes 48 and counting. He's got a rook under threat and a queen under threat. Always good. So how can he save both? He hasn't got any more checks. Not that I can see. Other than queen takes pawn, that's just suicide. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to grab the rook. Okay, we've got rook takes. Good. Let's hit the queen. Knights, short range fighters, so I need to maneuver them in towards black's position now, which is looking very frail. Need to be careful now that some material has moved. My king and my queen are on the same vertical. Might be good to shuffle Mr. King off to safety. Even just jam it, plug it shut with a... Okay, that's defended. We're okay. I'm going to play this. 2 attackers on the pawn, and I'm attacking the queen. Queen can't take the knight because it's defended by my queen. So I'm really just trying to make my opponent think right now. Okay, let's grab. I'm not going to grab with the queen. I'm going to grab with the rook. Now if he puts his rook here, we just take. Okay. Attack the queen again. No. Yes. No. Drops the knight. Okay, let's maneuver the knight round. There's another defender on this, now defended 3 times. I'm not concerned about rook c8, because I can just take, and if takes, that's actually checkmate. So that's fine. Okay, 1 minute 14 against 1 minute 40 and counting. That's fine, I'm just going to move my king. In fact, it's protected, so I'm going to attack the queen. That's a trap. It's defended twice. So there's no threat there whatsoever. Grab it. This game is now lost. There's only one legal move. Rook back here. Then rook takes e8 is mate. Whew. There we go. That's checkmate. Okay, so quick analysis of the game. If you're rated around, what is it? We're in the 700. Okay. So what should you be looking out for in your own play? Yeah, quite openly. This is the French. I play something aggressive. My opponent defends. This is all right, but you know, did he notice that this is undefending one of his own pieces? Undefending your own pieces is a classic tactical error. I mean, it's not a critical error, but again, it means he can't take this pawn. Knight comes out. I grab the pawn because the knight has now blocked the queen's defense. Not many options there. Attacks the queen, queen moves. Attacks the queen, queen moves. I'm also attacking now another undefended piece. So on every turn, while your opponent's thinking, why not just highlight? You can do this on Lichess, you can put a circle on it, you just right click anything, right? Okay, what's defending? Everything's kind of defended here. And these are defending each other, but that's an undefended piece. So look for an undefended piece. You might see one undefended piece and then you can move a piece and attack it, right? And that will force your opponent to do something. It's a forcing move, okay? So here, actually, I'm attacking 2 pieces, 1 and 2. Now the pawn's less valuable. My opponent makes a blunder and defends the pawn and loses the bishop. Now, and now I'm attacking again. I'm attacking a knight and a pawn. So my opponent here defends the knight from the queen, I guess, but doesn't defend it from the pawn. So I grab that. Now I'm getting ready to fianchetto my bishop here and to try and grab that pawn if this knight should move. Knight moves there, and now mouse slip, and I play the wrong move. Okay, now we have a fork. Well spotted. But when you're 7 points behind the material, you don't want to be exchanging off pieces, so my opponent finds a better move. targeting this weak pawn, which is defended only by the king. I develop my knight. Castles, good move. Now I'm getting ready to get my bishop out. Check, which is also a good move, but relatively easily blocked. So now I've put my knights, one knight's move apart, so they're defending each other, which at this point in time suits me. Okay, now we attack the queen. So you can see, constantly trying to find attacks and multiple attacks. Queen moves back, castles to safety. Doubling up, push and attack the bishop, which I've calculated is fine. We have an exchange, suits me. And now this is not better for black at all. Queen comes down, attacking my knight, which I don't actually need to defend. I could simply have swapped off rooks at this point and then looked for a back rank mate. Would have been fine as well. I'm just playing solid. And now bishop attacks the rook. Queen comes out, oh yeah, with the discovery on the queen. Attack the queen again. Why not? This is an example of an in-between move, right? The rook is there, the rook is hanging, the rook is at my mercy, okay? However, I can now play this move and attack the queen a second time. Oh yeah, because it comes with check anyway, so that was kind of forced. Okay, queen moves, I win the rook. Now I'm attacking. Okay, grab material. This is all fine. Pair up the knights again. Now pairing knights isn't always a good thing, because if you think about it, let's take this guy, right? A knight that's, as long as it's in the middle of the board, as long as it's in this triangle here, okay, the central 4x4, a knight can land on a maximum of 8 squares, okay, if it's in that central 16. If it's outside of that, then some of those squares are going to be off the board. Okay, so a knight can control, so it can either attack, or it can defend your own pieces, or it can control a square to prevent your opponent moving to it, for example, okay? Maximum of 8 squares. So I have 2 knights in that central square, but if you look at it, let's take this guy, for example. So he's got 1, 2, that's one he's defending, that's one he's defending, right? Now one of the squares that he's looking at, the other knight is on, okay? So yes, they're defending each other, but in terms of control, yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. But if the knights are, say, side by side, they actually control a much more solid chunk of the board. I attack the queen, now we simply have a blunder. Blunder with 1:34 left on the clock, and loses his queen, and then it's literally all over. So this is another key thing to notice, right? My queen's under attack, so is my rook here, but I have a stronger response than my opponent, right? I have a check, and it's actually a winning check anyway, right? But the beginner will tend to say to himself, oh no, my queen's under attack, I've got to move my queen, I've got to do something, and they stop looking at moves. You shouldn't do that. You need to look for all the moves, because there may be something that's better than moving your queen. For example, check with a back rank threat. The king is behind in the middle of these 3 pawns, and he's got nowhere to go. He doesn't have an escape square. If any of these pawns had moved, he might have an escape square. Not that one, obviously, because it was pinned for most of the game. That's the only legal move. Then either of my rooks could have taken on there and deliver checkmate. So there you go. There's a few tips in there that if you're around the 700 range or whatever, you should be able to go, oh, yeah, do you know what? I do that, or I don't do that enough. So just take 2 or 3 things maybe from this video. Make a note of it if you want to, and just practice over your next few games incorporating those ideas. And I think one of the key things is always to look for, what are all the moves that I have available? Evaluate those moves and figure out which is actually the best one for you, and you'll do very well. Okay, thanks for watching. Please do subscribe. See you soon.